Welcome to this explainer. Right now, in our modern era, we are just constantly bombarded. Between the endless notifications, the exhausting 24/7 news cycle, and of course, the rapid rise of AI, man, it really feels like our attention is being ripped in a million different directions all at once, doesn't it? Finding just one moment of true, unshakable focus, it can feel completely impossible. But what if I told you there was an ancient blueprint for actually surviving all this overwhelming noise? Today we're diving into this genuinely remarkable text called the Mahāsamaya Sutta. It's this ancient record of a gathering that was so profound, so deeply rooted in absolute stillness that it literally drew the attention of the entire universe. It shows us exactly what a truly unshakable mind looks like.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really wrap our heads around the sheer magnitude of this event, we've got to look at one specific number: 500. The source text tells us the Buddha was staying in the Mahāvana forest of Kapilavatthu with a group of exactly 500 monks. And these weren't just any monks, they were all arahats, meaning they had already achieved ultimate enlightenment. But here is where the contrast gets absolutely wild. To witness the perfect quiet stillness of just these 500 individuals, devas and beings from 10 entire world systems actually gathered together. I mean, just imagine the massive chaotic scale of multiple galaxies focusing literally all their attention on one tiny, perfectly silent forest grove. It's mind-blowing.
And, this massive gathering, it doesn't just happen by accident. The inciting incident of this whole text is actually sparked by a thought from four incredibly advanced cosmic beings called the Suddhavasa Devas. Looking down at the forest, they just marvel at the assembly and declare their intention. They decide they are going to the great forest specifically, and I quote, to see the conquerors of Mara. Now, Mara represents illusion, death, and basically all the tempting distractions of the sensory world. So these supreme cosmic beings are essentially drawn like magnets to witness something incredibly rare: human beings who have achieved absolute, unshakable peace.
Section 1. A mind steady as a mountain. The unshakable 500.
So before we look at the whole universe arriving, what does the mind of these 500 monks actually look like? Well, the text gives us this incredibly dynamic, beautiful metaphor. A perfectly peaceful mind isn't just empty or, completely checked out. Not at all. The arriving devas describe the monks as being like a charioteer holding the reins of horses. Think about what that actually means for a second. A charioteer guiding powerful horses isn't asleep at the wheel. They are highly alert, perfectly balanced, and in total, active control of all that incredible energy. The monks have completely mastered their senses, their horses, steering them with absolute precision.
Building on that sheer strength, the devas use another really powerful comparison here. They describe the monks as having cut through their mental defilements, basically their impurities and internal distractions, like cutting nails, or like pulling out deeply rooted pillars right from the ground. What's left behind after all that? A baseline of pure, unadulterated stillness. They are completely unshakable, spotless, and pure. And this is essentially the grounded, immovable center of our story. It's the quiet eye of the storm before the cosmic arrivals really begin.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. The Great Cosmic Gathering. The universe arrives.
Now we shift from the micro to the macro. As the universe starts just pouring into the forest, the Buddha uses his psychic vision to actually name and categorize the escalating multitudes of beings arriving to see this perfect peace. And the sheer scale here is just overwhelming. This timeline illustrates those escalating numbers perfectly. First up, 7,000 radiant yakas, which are nature spirits, arrive from the local city of Kapilavatthu. Then, boom, 6,000 more descend from the Himalayas, another 3,000 come from the Satagiri Mountains, and then a spirit named Kumbhira arrives from the city of Rajagaha, and he brings with him an entourage of over 100,000 beings. The forest is absolutely flooding with these radiant, powerful entities, and they're all there just to sit in the presence of stillness.
Section 3. Roster of the Four Kings, Guardians of the Directions.
Following those nature spirits, the real heavy hitters of the cosmic hierarchy begin to arrive to illuminate the forest from all four sides. And this brilliantly illustrates the cosmic structure the text lays out for us. We've taken a massive, complex block of ancient text and turned it into this clean visual map. Let's look at the columns. Over from the east comes King Dhadarata, the lord of the Gandhabas. From the south we have King Virulhaka, ruling the Kumbhahandas. From the west, King Virupaka, leader of the Nagas. And finally, from the north, King Kuvera, sovereign of the Yakas. These four majestic kings take their places, brilliantly lighting up the forest in every single direction. They're basically acting as this grand honor guard for the serene assembly right in the center.
Section 4. When past enemies meet, the ultimate ceasefire.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this summit is so profoundly peaceful, its mere existence actually stops ancient mythological cosmic wars right in their tracks. Notice the profound contrast here. In this mythology, the Nagas, the great serpents of the waters, and the divine birds of prey known as the Garuda or Citrusapana are mortal eternal enemies. We're talking a predator and prey relationship of literal cosmic proportions. But look at the text below them. Upon arriving at the forest, the Buddha makes the Nagas safe from the birds. And these bitter, lifelong enemies actually speak to each other with beautiful words. They completely put aside their ancient, instinctual war and take refuge in the peace of the Buddha. They drop all their hostilities for no other reason than just to witness true serenity together. It's pretty amazing.
And you know what? The guest list just keeps growing. The Buddha points out the arrival of the Asuras, who are often seen as demons or titans, including the Kalakanjas and Vepachiti. Then come the Devas, representing the very foundational elements of the universe: earth, water, fire, and wind. Even the gods of the sun and moon arrive. And then the highest creator gods, the Brahmas, like Sun and Kumara and Tissa, descend into the assembly. It is just an overwhelming, breathtaking variety of beings, all converging on one single spot in the entire universe.
Moving on to Section 5, the test from Mara, the threat to peace.
Of course, absolute stillness always faces the challenge, doesn't it? I want to pose this question directly to you because it bridges this ancient text directly to our modern lives right now. What happens when absolute peace is threatened? Think about it. When you finally find a moment of focus and suddenly the chaos of the world tries to just kick down your door, how do you respond? Well, let's see exactly how the 500 monks handled the arrival of Mara.
So Mara, who is basically the embodiment of distraction, desire, and death, doesn't exactly come peacefully. He commands his dark army to bind the devas and monks with lust. He surrounds the entire assembly completely, leaving absolutely no escape route. He violently strikes the earth with his hand, and he creates these terrifying, deafening noises that mimic roaring thunder and raging storms. It is a full-scale, incredibly aggressive invasion, entirely designed to shatter their concentration and drag them kicking and screaming back into the noise.
Section 6. The victory of peace, the unmoving pillar.
Okay, so we have the deafening noise of Mara's army raging on the outside, and the internal state of the 500 monks on the inside. What happens when these two massive forces collide? The text gives us this deceptively simple, absolutely incredible sentence. Despite all the cosmic chaos, despite Mara's overwhelming rage, despite the thunder and the literal shaking of the earth, not a single hair on their bodies moved. They were entirely, utterly unfazed. Their internal foundation was so deeply rooted that the ultimate external distraction couldn't even make them flinch.
And because of this impenetrable stillness, Mara is completely defeated. He is angry, he's frustrated, but he realizes he has absolutely no power here. He's forced to retreat. And the text notes that even Mara himself has to acknowledge their absolute victory, stating that the disciples have won the battle and passed beyond fear. By doing absolutely nothing but holding their inner peace, they defeated the greatest chaos the universe could possibly throw at them.
So the crucial point is this. The Mahāsamaya Sutta isn't just some ancient myth about gods and demons. It's a profound, highly applicable psychological blueprint. Every single day we face our own modern versions of Mara, right? The pings, the emails, the anxieties, the endless streams of data constantly trying to shatter our focus. The question I really want to leave you with is this. In an era of endless noise and distraction, can you cultivate a mind so steady that not a single hair moves when the storm hits? Can you stand firm like the 500? I want you to really think about that the next time the world tries to pull your attention away. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.